Greetings, Warlords, and welcome back to Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, the card game, played on oadio.net. Today we have a match between Zul the Hate-Bound and Zul the Aonia. So this game is being played with the Traxxas sector, and no Apoca, Errata, or bans are active for this one. So let's discuss who we are. So Zul the Hate-Bound is my opponent. He's player 1. He has a reaction of after unit you control, this planet takes damage. Move all of that damage to this warlord. So that potentially lets you shield some of your units from taking damage. Though he's not particularly good at it, because there's a bit of nuance here where if a unit would take damage that would kill it, so if you have a 2 health unit and it takes 2 damage, then this reaction does not get to trigger because the unit is already dead by the time it would. So it needs to be like a 2 health unit taking 1 damage, then you can move the damage to a warlord. But otherwise it won't work. We'll see his signature squad throughout the game, although generally it's not particularly good. He's got the main ones are Blood for Blood God, which deals 1 damage to each undamaged unit at a planet, which is decent, especially against Zen, because Zen likes to get a whole bunch of spammy units, so Blood for Blood God will help deal with those. And then he also has Basil's Cleavers, who are terrible, but sometimes they're the best you've got. They have a big health pool for you to soak damage into Basil with. Aside from that, he's unfortunately for this world, he has 0 attack and 5 health, so he is posing absolutely no threat for now, until at least the second round when he becomes bloodied, until he gains some stats with. Quite unique in that sense. As meanwhile, I am playing Zul the Aonia. So Zul the Aonia says each unit this planet loses the area effect keyword. So Eldar doesn't really have any area effect cards, or any good ones anyway, even if they have other factions, so it doesn't really matter for us. It means that if he has a Vicious Bloodletter or some other area effects unit, then it is completely worthless, as it loses its only redeeming quality. Meanwhile, I also have the Forced Interrupt. When a unit you control this planet is chosen as a defender, declare another eligible unit as the defender instead, if able. So that means that if he's attacking one of my units, then I will be able to redirect the defender to any other unit. Essentially, I'm choosing which of my units is declared as the defender, instead of him getting to choose it. So that is very strong. There's a little more nuance to it, since he can essentially choose which one of my units I cannot declare as a defender. Then I get to choose a defender, but obviously this is a very strong unit, very strong ability anyway. It does require me being at the planet, but it's still very good. And the more spam I get, more either just high health units or just generally threatening low health units, the better, because he won't be able to attack them without being able to do some sort of area effect, which I'm preventing, or other effects like that. It's going to be very difficult for him to actually reduce the amount of damage that I deal each combat round, since I'll be placing all my damage on ideal targets. He's also got a signature squad, but we've got 2 of them in our hand right now, the Sun Prince and the Dawn Singer. As you can see, they're both different to each other. Zen has 4 different signature units, so I'm not going to discuss all of them. We'll just see which ones show up during the game, and then we'll discuss them when they do. And that'll be it for now. Discuss the other cards as they come up. So let's see. My opponent first chose not to mulligan his hand, so then it's up to me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units in our hand, and they do have a total cost of 7, so we can play all of them immediately. So our command game is looking pretty good. We have a good unit for the first planet in this Warlock Destructor, as he's not going to be really willing to either kill it or send anything particularly strong to deal with it. Because even if he does deal damage to it, it's just going to get discarded anyway. And if he doesn't deal damage to it and just ignores it, then it's going to be moved from Planum to another planet, and then to keep. I'll have to pay the upkeep on it, but it's still a very strong unit. So yes, generally, yes, I've gotten a bit confused here. So generally, I think that he does need to actually contest the Warlock Destructor at the first planet, because otherwise the Warlock Destructor is going to harass his Warlord, and then wherever his Warlord went, I'll be able to win the battle there as well, because his Warlord has no attack. So that means that I'll be getting essentially two battle abilities on the first turn, which is extremely strong. Because all of these battle abilities are very good, except for Taurus, because I'm spammy and he's probably not spammy. Chaos doesn't tend to be spammy, although he is playing Khorne, so Zul the Hate-Bound, so anything could happen. So even if I plan him to Taurus because War's at Taurus, that's not really a big problem for me because it's more just about me preventing him from using Taurus's battle ability rather than me actually using it for myself. Granted, if he does send his War to Taurus, then I have Foretell in my hand anyway, so it's not really a big problem. I can just foretell his Taurus. So that's that. What else do we have? We have, let's discuss the easier one first. Same hand Kinsman. Generic command unit. Gets +1 attack, +1 health at a green planet. Not particularly interesting. We've got 2 Gift of Ishas. So Gift of Isha is arguably the strongest Eldar card. Well, maybe Nullify is stronger, but Gift of Isha is certainly extremely potent. Lets us put the topmost Eldar unit from our discard pile into play at a planet. So that'd be really helpful if I needed to, say, put this Warlock Structure back into play quickly just to try to win a key planet. What else? Although at the end of the phase I have to discard it, which admittedly isn't really a problem with Warlock Destructor since he likes to discard himself anyway. I am running a few big units like Wailing Wraith Fighters in the deck. So if I draw one of them, that'll be very helpful, as I'll be able to get it killed and then put it back into play with Gift of Isha. What else? So now we have Foretell. Foretell just cancels the... I can exhaust my ward to cancel a battle ability when I draw a card, so that's very good. My ward's probably not going to a first planet this time, so I should be able to have a ready Warlord for whatever planet ability he decides to trigger. And then we have 2 signature units. So we have the Dawn Singer, who says he's got very good stats, 2 cost, 1 command, 2 attack, 3 health, so that's above average stats already. And then reaction, after this unit is destroyed, your opponent must choose to either put 2 cards from his hand on top of his deck, in any order, or you draw 2 cards. So it's essentially -2 cards for my opponent, or +2 cards for me. Generally, the +2 cards is the least painful of these options. Or rather, in terms of, since my opponent gets to choose, he chooses whether or not to lose 2 cards or to have me draw 2 cards. Usually drawing the 2 cards is less painful for him, since putting 2 cards from your hand on top of your deck is, if you have 4 cards and you go down to 2 cards, that's a 50% decrease. Well, yes. And you'll just have much less options to play with going into the next round of deployment. You'll probably have to pass very quickly, so then I'll get to win the command struggles quite fast. Or dominate them, rather. And then the other option was I draw 2 cards, which is fine. It's a little annoying for him because he knows that I'm going to have good cards in my deck like Gift of Isha and Nullify. But that's not that much worse than simply losing all of your cards to the Dawn Singer, so yeah, choice between 2 evils, and that one's a little less evil. Still a very good card though. A 2 card advantage for existing basically. And now let's see, we have the Sun Prince. So the Sun Prince says interrupt. When this unit leaves play, your opponent must choose at the same planet either to exhaust the unit he controls or ready a unit you control. So this has also got very good stats. 2 cost, 1 command, 3 attack, 2 health. And 3 attack, 2 health works especially well with Zen, because I can simply choose not to have Sun Prince be targeted for an attack. So it'll keep dealing out a lot of damage despite its a relatively fragile health pool. And the ability is also very good. So usually this is best used when the opponent has when you've already dealt with all of your opponent's small units or they're exhausted or something, and you've only got high attack exhausted units of the planet. It's a little complicated to actually see how it's going to work because it's not a particularly friendly. It's not particularly easy to interpret what it's saying. Since my opponent must choose, and then they also choose whether to exhaust already, and they choose which unit it is. So, but we'll see it during the game, so hopefully this will make more sense when we get to it. So I choose to keep his hand as it's basically perfect. Normally I'd look for a couple Biotan Guardians or Incubus Warriors or Sliff Mercenaries to try to secure card draw, but we've already got 2 Gift of Ishas, which are basically my main card anyway. Best card, so not too much need for any card draw here. Besides, I can also just send Zen to Barlas to get the card draw because Basil won't be able to defeat me at Barlas because he has no attack. Well, that, and even if he does send himself to Barlas, it's fine, it's not a problem for me. I'll bloody Basil, discard a card from his hand, and we'll move on. So there we go. So we should discuss before we move on how we're actually going to, what the key elements of this game are, because Zen is a much stronger warlord than Basil. Zen would absolutely slaughter Basil in basically every matchup if we were playing a pocket version, because there's nothing that there's not a single card I don't think that Basil could really play aside from maybe Turbulent Rifts to do air effect damage to Zen, but even then it's not really the right kind of air effect damage. So how can Basil possibly win this matchup wherever? So there is, my keyboard is frozen, hang on. So let me head to Conquest DB and we will look at Warp Storm. So Warp Storm is banned under the Apoca rule set, but not under our rule set. Or the default rule set, rather. So it says combat action, deal 2 damage to each unit without any attachments to target planet or HQ. So this is basically the main way he's going to be able to destroy all of my low health, high attack units. Now it's not a guaranteed way of doing this, since I could have attachments. Flickering Hollow Suit in particular. Let me bring that one up. So this one lets me, when attached units signed out, blah blah blah. So this one will be very helpful for me, as I can always use Zen to redirect the damage to the unit, the attack to the unit with a Flickering Hollow Suit. That way I get maximum value out of it. So obviously I don't have any of those at the moment. So Warp Storm, yes, is the main thing I need to be concerned of here. Now, of course, I'm playing Elder, so I could have Nullified. He's probably not going to throw out a Warp Storm all willy-nilly, because it would just, if it gets nullified, he's down 3 resources for no reason. So he'll need to wait until my world is exhausted in order to be able to use it. And that's basically it for now. So, finally, let's get into the gameplay. What does he do? And he plays Dark Allegiance. So Dark Allegiance is a funny meme. It says, it is one of the pledges, and it says when deployed, choose a trait among Nurgle, Khorne, / Tzeentch. So he's going to choose Khorne. And after the deploy phase begins, rally 6 card of a chosen trait. When deployed to target planet, reducing its cost by 1. Use this ability only if each unit you control shares the chosen trait. So, step 1. This is essentially 1 card and 1 resource turn, but only starting from the second round. The first round it's not going to do anything. Secondly, this vastly limits what cards he can reasonably include in his deck. So he's not going to have Void Powers or Rogue Traders or anything like that. Well, it's extremely unlikely that he does, because they're just going to prevent him from using his Dark Allegiance ability. So that means we can figure out what cards that he could have in his deck just from a simple search. So let's look at Conquest DB, Khorne, and how many resources do I have? 21. So Blood Pits is not actually a card he can get. So let's see, what units does he have? Basil's doesn't really count. This doesn't count. Okay, so Khorne Berserk is bad, Rograx is bad. Revenant's Fleshhound is bad. Vicious Bloodletter we don't care about because we're playing Zen. Ravening Psychopath is actually pretty good here. But we don't know if he's actually running it. Well, let's assume he does, because if he is running it, the Ravening Psychopath will be able to deal 1 damage to an enemy unit of the same planet after it absorbs its attack. And that would bypass the Zen's ability, so that'd be very helpful for him. What else is there? Berserker Warriors. He probably does have Berserker Warriors, but that's not really the right time he wants to play Berserker Warriors. It's still fine, it's just not perfect. Frenzy Bloodthirster. Is Ivan in play? No. This one doesn't exist. Advocate of Blood is actually a good unit. So this one, well, when your ward is bloody, it gets 1 command icon, so this then becomes a fantastic free cost 2 command, 1 attack, 5 health. And it also is brutal. And it has a reaction when it enters play to move damage from units to it in order to heal your warlord or heal other chaos units you control. Kazhavak is there. He's technically, yeah, he's fine. I mean, he's fine. He's just a 2 cost, 2 command, 2 attack, 2 off guy. He's not particularly, great aside from that. He's just kind of there. Champion of Corn is bad. Charging Juggernaut is very good. Obviously his attachment, blah 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 blah. So, actually I will discuss Charging Juggernaut. So what has an attachment, +1 HP, and cannot be routed. So this is quite good against me, because if I'm running Archon's Terror, then I won't be able to route it until a combat round is ended at its planet. Actually just ended this round, not at the planet. So that's quite good. So what attachments would we be playing? He'd probably be playing Cornate Chain X, because that gives him +2 attack, and Brutal during a combat round in which 1 or more units have been destroyed at this planet. That's sort of expect to see. What else is there? Expendable Pawn is a cheap command unit. It is his only cheap command unit. So we also have Ireful Vanguard. Ireful Vanguard's a 3 attack, 1 command, 3 attack, 4 health unit, which gets +1 attack, +1 HP from just existing. Well, no, where any ward is bloodied, which is going to happen very quickly in this game, I imagine. And also, it has action, deal 3 damage to all units of this planet. Play this ability only if your opponent won a command struggle at this planet this round. So that's 3 damage just to a unit, which will get around my Warlord ability again. So that's very good. But that's also all it's doing. It's not a... He does have to lose a command struggle in order for that to happen. Which, I'm pretty good at winning command struggles compared to him, so I imagine this will happen quite a lot. But that's also kind of it. It's still very expensive at 3 cost, especially considering all of his other cards are also quite expensive. Oops. Let me bring them up. And that's everything. He's also got 2 other cards, but they're not relevant for Dark Allegiance. So now we can move on back to the game. So let's see what I do. They're same hand kinsman to Terrace, which makes sense. It's just a simple command unit. And if he wants to send his warlord to Terrace in order to win a command struggle there, he won't be able to win the battle because he doesn't have any attack on his warlord. What does he do? Expendable Pawn, another simple command struggle unit. Warlord Destructor to the first planet, like I discussed earlier. And Basil's Cleavers, so here they are. So Basil's Cleavers, they have 3 cost, 1 command, 2 attack, 5 health, so above average stats. And we have action, deal 2 damage to his unit to have it get +2 attack for its next attack this phase. Limit once per phase. So this works with Basil, since you can deal with damage to Basil's Cleavers, and then move it over to Basil. And we also just do a surprising amount of burst damage by using that once they're threatening to one-shot my Warlock Destructor. Although then if my Warlock Destructor survives, I'll be threatening to one-shot his Basil's Cleavers right back. Assuming his Warlord isn't there to tank for damage anyway. In the Apoca rule set, this guy gets buffed down to having only 2 cost, which is a big boon for Basil. But the lack of banning most of the other Chaos cards, which are good for Basil, severely cripples him anyway. So it's about even. About an even trade. What do I play? Sun Prince. So this is just going to be very annoying for him, since when the unit leaves play, your opponent must choose at the same planet how to exhaust a unit he controls or ready a unit he controls. I'm not sure why I'm fighting for the first planet here. I guess I don't want the Basil's Cleavers to move somewhere and attack. Am I going to send my wall to? I don't know. This is a bit strange indeed. Yeah, oh well. I think that should really probably be going to Farron or Carnif. I probably put it at Farron. I probably put it at Farron, then Daunting at Carnif, and send the Warlord to Balas. But I guess if I want to do this, that's fine as well. Opponent passes. So that means I just have free reign to do what I want now. I assume I'm going to send Daunting to. I'm either going to send the Daunting to Carnif or Balas. I'm not sure which one. Unless I send it to Farron. Actually, no idea. Let's find out. Send it to Farron. Okay, I'm completely wrong. So I think I sent it to Farron because, okay, it's because I'm going to get 1 card, 2 card from my command struggles, because I assume I'm going to send my Warlord here anyway. So then I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 resources. That'll be enough for Gift of Isha. Okay, it's because I want to play or threaten to play 2 Gift of Isha. So. Okay, good enough then. World Commitment. I'm pretty sure I'm going to send my Warlord to 1, and he's going to send his Warlord to 1 as well. Because if he doesn't send his Warlord to 1, I'm just going to murder his Basil's Cleavers very easily. And if I don't send my Warlord to 1, he's going to murder Sun Prince, and I'll get minimal value from it. As well as deal damage. Well, not necessarily deal damage to World Destructor, but it'll at least have to go back to my HQ. So let's see. Yeah, both go to 1. I think it's very reasonable for me to go to Balas if I hadn't put Sun Prince here. Well, I did, so we'll just have to continue on. Right, I've got some more command units now, so another 2 command units, so I'm looking very comfortable going into the next round. So let's see what he does. He uses his action to deal 2 damage to Basil's Cleavers. Then he moves the damage to Basil. And he uses his Basil's Cleavers to attack a unit. So he's attacking Zenzi. So then I get to use Zenzi in order to, let me move this, in order to redirect the damage to a different unit. So let's see who I decide to redirect it to. I redirect it to the, what is it, the Warlock Destructor. And I shield a Foretell, which makes some sense because either I'm going to win the battle, in which case I don't need Foretell, or I'm going to lose the battle, in which case my ward would be exhausted at the HQ. So I won't be able to use it this turn anyway, this round. Warlock Destructor attacks Basil. He's got the Promise of Glory as a shield. Bit of a strange shield, but I guess he has no big daemons in his deck then. Actually, it's because Promise of Glory puts 2 cultists into play at your HQ, so cultists do not have the corn traits, so prevent him from using Dark Allegiance, because it says only feature unit you control, not each army unit or whatever. So it is very. I guess he just doesn't have any daemons in his hand, so he can't play Promise of Glory without scuppering his Dark Allegiance. Still a bit of a strange shield, but what can you do? Basil attacks and does nothing. I attack, and I make a small mistake here. I should be attacking with Zen first into one of the units. That way he will move the 2 damage from Zen into Basil, and I will kill it, and then I'll attack for 3 against the Basil's Cleavers, dealing 3 damage total. Instead I'm doing this in the wrong order, but I'm attacking for 3, so I'll move the damage to Basil, and then I'll do 2 to Basil's Cleavers, so -1 damage, but whoops. Happens sometimes. Now he retreats, makes sense. I win the battle, let's see what I do with it. Move the Sun Prince to Carnif. So now I'm very set up at Carnif, as I have a big attack unit at Carnif ready to punch him when he goes there. And what else? I'm also winning the command struggle there. Moving on. Warlock Destructor, I could pay 1 resource to keep my 1 health unit. It costs even more to keep around, so no, I don't think I'll do that. It gets discarded. He can use Dark Allegiance. Let's see what he's getting. He's getting a Coalback the Hateful. So that's a 2 command unit, so he's jumping my command. And you got that for only a cost of 1 resource. So a very good deal for him. Fortunately, my Biotan Guardians are actually better than that. So I'll just be able to play them to Taurus and to deal with that quickly. I might also send a wall to Taurus, but that seems a bit unnecessary. I'd rather send my Warlord somewhere where I can get a useful battle ability. So what do I do? No, what does he do? He plays Cult of Corn. So this has a lot of text on it, but basically whenever a Corn army enters play, he can move damage onto the support, and then after enough damage has been moved, 2 damage actually, he can then attach the support to an army unit in order to give that unit +2 attack. So pretty decent. It's not the strongest card in the world, as it requires $1 for 2 attack. That's basically the same thing as that what was it? The axe. I've forgotten what the name was. But +2 attack, and then it gives brutal. Granted, this one moves a little bit of damage. It's not particularly a large amount of damage, it's only 2 damage, so it's like a reanimation protocol from the Necrons. So it's still a little better, but not particularly great. But it's good enough. And sometimes that's what you need in a Basel deck. Right, what am I doing? I'm probably playing more command units. Biotan Guardians, the Ballas, okay. I probably should have put down Towers, but Ballas is fine as well. What does he do? Another Basil's Cleavers. So you can move damage onto his Cult of Corn. Play a Same Hand Kinsman. And plays another Expendable Pawn. That's another command unit. So it's actually a pretty good command hand from him here, although my command is still so much better than his. Cult of Corn, let's see what he does. Gets to attach it to someone, and he attaches it to the Basil's Cleavers at Ferrin. So I could try to fight him at Ferrin, but he's got a 4 attack, potentially 6 attack unit at that planet. And if he kills with Dawnsinger, then it will trigger the reaction which will cause me to get 2 card advantage. So probably not really a point in triggering that in this case. Or probably not really a point in me trying to fight for Ferrin in this case. Seems very unnecessary for me. So let's just not bother with it. And keep sending command units out. So now I've got a Incubus Warrior at Taurus. So I'm winning at Ossus, Taurus, and Ballas, tied at Carnif, and tied at Ferrin. He passes, so I can play another card. Play a Luring Troop. So Luring Troop is just another good unit for Zen because it gets, 2 cost, 1 command, 3 attack, 2 health, another above average unit. Says reaction after you deploy this unit, move a target army unit out of this planet to an adjacent planet. At the end of the next phase, move a unit back to this planet if able. So I could use that to move the Expendable Pawn to Ballas, and then after the command struggle is over, I'll move it back. But I don't think there's really any need to do that because I'm already winning the command struggle at Carnif. And yeah, that's kind of it. So I think I end up not using that. Yeah, that's correct. And then I pass. So I'm winning 4 of the command struggles and he's winning 1 of them. Well, I assume he's not actually we're tied at Ferrin, so he's not winning any command struggles. So ideally here I just want to try to intercept Basil so that he doesn't get any command struggle whatsoever. In which case I would assume he's going to go to Carnif because he's got big units of that planet. Well, he can have big units of this planet with Basil and the Basil's Cleavers, and he can use Ferrin to route 1 of my units. But he might not do that. He might also go to Ballas to get the 2 cards. And of course I could also just send my ward to Ossus 4 in order to take money from him, but that would assume he's going to actually get any money from his command struggle, which I don't think is particularly likely here. So I think he'd go to Carnif. I think I'd personally probably go to Barlas just to make sure he doesn't get those 2 cards. Nope, okay, I went to Carnif, and he's going to Taurus actually to trigger the Taurus battle ability. So that makes sense, although there's a little issue here where now his Basil's Cleavers are out of position. They're a Taurus instead of a actually good planet. So he's going to be able to trigger Taurus definitely, which will get him either 3 cards or 3 resources. So we'll see what he decides to do that. And I went to Carnif, I guess just to trigger Carnif battle ability for either Balas or Ossus. And actually, since he's now gone to Taurus, he's going to get a 1 resource, so I can trigger Ossus battle ability, so that's fun. Command struggle, let's see what happens. I've got Nullify, so now his Warp Storm is not particularly a big threat to me. But of course he doesn't know that I have Nullify, so he might try to play it anyway. Moving on. Combat. So I have initiative, so I attack first. And then he attacks. I die. And I get to trigger the Dawn Singer, and he chooses whether he wants to put 2 cards in the deck, or have me draw 2. And he decides to put 2 cards in his deck, so that's that. So I guess now when he triggers Taurus, he's going to draw 3 cards. But he might not, we'll see. And actually he's got Gut and Pillage in his hand. So he tries to play Gut and Pillage, but I end up using my Nullify to prevent it. So Gut and Pillage says after you win a battle with a Materia planet, gain 3 resources. So it would have been very good for him if he had gotten to use it. But he didn't, so now he's just going to be at a measly 1, soon to be 0 resources. And Ferrin. Does he use Ferrin? Yes, he uses it to rout the Bayotan Guardians at Barlas. So that's just denying me a bit of command. Next battle. I easily win at Carnif, not much to talk about here. And which one do I choose to trigger? I think it's Ossus. Yes, I do trigger Ossus. So now he's got no resource. I've got 6 resources, which is very helpful because I've drawn my Wailing Wraith Fighter, so I'll be able to put that into play and have it be a giant threat, as well as also being able to then gift a V-ship back into play when he does eventually kill it. Taurus battle. He's going to easily win this battle, but I can at least try to deal some damage to his unit. I end up managing to kill his Kajavak the Hateful there, so now his Basil's Cleavers aren't going to be that bad because they're still going to be contributing command of that planet, or winning him the command rather. Though if I have another Bayotan Guardians in my hand, they're going to get trumped very quickly. Although it's pretty safe to assume that if next round he doesn't have anything better to do, he's going to send his ward back to Taurus in order to get 3 cards of 3 resources, so that will probably keep him in the game. So I probably don't really want to send a Bayotan Guardian to Taurus anyway. Right. Taurus battle ability, what does he do? Draws 3 cards. Not surprising. And he's taking an action, and then he cancels his action request, as he realizes he doesn't actually have any money. Dark Allegiance, what does he do? He puts a Charging Juggernaut into play at Barlas. So it's a little surprising that it's at Barlas and not at one of the other planets. Because if it was out of one of them, then next round we'll be able to move to Barlas and deal 2 damage units to their planet. Although it's probably because he doesn't want me to send my ward to Barlas anyway to try and kill expendable pawn. He wants it to fight a planet Barlas immediately if I do try to win the battle there. But yeah, it's quite complicated. Well, moving on. Oh, okay, so a little minor glitch here. Dark Allegiance has, what has it done? It has put the Charging Juggernaut into play and then skipped his deploy turn. That's a bit incorrect. It shouldn't have done that. It should have what is it? Should have had him put that unit into play and then play another card. Oh well. Let me make a note of that. Okay, I made a note of that. Moving on, so it's my turn then, I guess, instead of it being his turn, but it doesn't make too much difference here, as he only has 2 resources anyway, so you would have to pass pretty quickly. So I have the Blinded Princess, which is another one of my signature units. So it says after this unit enters play, your opponent may exhaust you enter the planet to move this unit to that planet. So that means if I put it Eliwith, then he could exhaust his Basil Sleeves in order to move it to a planet, or he could exhaust Expendable Pawn to move it to there, etc. So I assume I'm going to put Eliwith, yep. Give us 2 cards, so you can choose to use the ability, and he doesn't. And he passes deploy turn, okay, so Dark Allegiance skipping didn't really make a difference there. And I play another generic command unit of Taurus. So this is tying the command. I think this guy's just going to get killed anyway though, since Basil's probably going to go to Taurus to win the stuff there. It at least forces him to actually send Basil to Taurus though, since if I didn't do that, he could win the command struggle there, and then send his ward to Ossus, which would get him 2 resources, deny me 2 resources, and take 1 resource from me. And play Wailing Wave Fighter to Balus. So now I'm also tying the command there. So generally I'm just sort of winning at all the command struggles, or at least tying them. Bit of a slaughter in the command sense. So committing warlords. I think it's reasonable for me to go to Carnif just to guarantee that I win the battle ability. I don't really want to let him win Carnif. Well, I guess it's not that bad. Maybe I go to Balus. Actually, I would say I'm going to go to Balus because if he goes to Carnif, I'm going to play what was that? It's very tricky. It really depends on what I draw, but I think because I have 2 Gift of Isha, excuse me. I think because I have 2 Gift of Ishas in my hand, it's a little better for me to go to Balus here instead of going to Carnif. If I didn't have those, then I would probably go to. I probably would go to Carnif just to make sure, but yeah, I think here it's fine. I think he's going to just go to Taurus and continue with that. Yeah, he does go. Oh, I did go to Carnif. Okay. I think that's a mistake by me, but it's not a big one. Actions after command struggle. I don't think either of us have those. Battle. I get to use Carnif. What am I going to do? Am I going to trigger Ossus again? Yes, I steal another resource from him. I do have a lot of very high cost events in my hand, so stealing as much money, or getting as much money anyways, is very important here. So he's going to kill my guy. And what does he get from Taurus? He gets 3 resources this time, which makes sense, since I have been repeatedly stealing his money. Dark Allegiance, what does he do? He gets another Charging Juggernaut onto Balus. So Balus is looking extremely difficult to stop here. And what's interesting about Charging Juggernauts is when they go back to their HQ, at the start of the next round, they'll be able to move to Taurus anyway, completely ready, and deal 2 damage there. So if I don't kill them here, then they're going to be a problem at Taurus. And if I then don't kill them there, they're going to be a problem at Ossus, etc. So really, I would ideally want to actually stop them now, kill them quickly. But that might be difficult to do. So I think here, because I have such a economic lead over him, and I have Zen, who will let me choose which of my units to declare as a defender, I should be what was it? I should be sending my warlord to Balus in order to try to actually beat him there. Because if I beat him there, then I will definitely be winning the game just eventually. Whether it's by warlord assassination or just by simply being economically superior. I also have Empower in my hand, so stacking a bunch of units playing Empower would be very strong here. Oh yeah, so their Dark Allegiance skipped my deploy turn. Okay, so Dark Allegiance is just skipping deploy turns, just for fun of it. So I need to make it stop doing that, but it's fine when it happens. Anyway, he plays another Charging Juggernaut, so this is just all Charging Juggernauts for days here. So huge amount of attack, but because I'm Zen, I can just redirect the attacks into their least impactful units. Okay, play a Phantasmatic Mask, so this unit gets +1 attack for each remaining health. So normally this is a Talazin Farinel unit, but it's also very good in Zen because it can simply not be chosen as a defender, and that way it will always have free health, so it'll always be getting free attack. It's also very good here in power because in power will give it +1 health and +1 attack, which will translate into 2 extra attack, making this a 5 attack 4 health unit. It also has a reaction, but it's not a particularly meaningful reaction, so we're just going to ignore it. What else is happening? Well, I'm just waiting on him to play some cards. Plays an Eyeful Vanguard, so his World is bloodied, so this is a 4 attack, 5 health, and can deal 3 damage to unit. So, but this requires him to win a command struggle with this planet. This requires me to win a command struggle with this planet. So what I can do here is simply make sure that I don't win a command struggle by only tying him in command. So he has 5 command icons at this planet right now, and I have 3, so what I should do is I should play as Biotan Guardian Stabalis. That way we'll have 5 versus 5, so he won't be getting his 2 cards, and I won't be winning the command struggle. And then at Taurus... No. Oh no, Taurus doesn't matter, it's only if you don't win a command struggle this planet this round. So there we go, I can just play 1 Biotan Guardians there, and then I can play my Slith Mercenaries to the other planets. So play a Slith Mercenaries Taurus. A Biotan. And another Slith Mercenary. And committing. I assume we're going to go to 1. Yep. So, moving on to the battle. And this is where I'm going to quickly slaughter him, as I'm going to play my... I'm thinking about it, actually. What order am I going to play this in? Because if I play Empower now, then if I put a unit back into play with Gift of Isha, it won't be benefiting from Empower. So it's a question of do I want to Gift of Isha, same Kinsman, and then Empower? Or do I want to wait for a better unit to die and then Gift of Isha that, but play Empower first? Or do I want to wait for one of my units to die, then play Gift of Isha, then play Empower? I think here I play Empower first. Yes, I'm playing Empower first, so all of my units have +1 attack, +1 health until the end of the battle. Let's see, I attack with a Phantasmatic Mask for 5. Attack into the Eyeful Vanguard. I probably should be attacking with Charging Juggernauts, but honestly I'd rather just try to deal with the Eyeful Vanguard so that it's not I'd rather try to maximize my the damage that I'm dealing, because if I send it into Charging Juggernaut, that will be free damage overkill, so I'd like to try to kill things exactly. It's probably not really the right idea, but it seemed like an okay one to me. He shields for 2, Charging Juggernaut. Goes into Zen, so that means I can declare the Wailing Wraithfighter as a defender. So that means it will only take 2 damage from this attack because it has flying. So probably should have been taking the Wailing Wraithfighter in order to make sure I don't move it into that, but I'd probably then move it into Zen, which also isn't particularly great. Of course, he doesn't know that I have Gift of Isha in my hand, but what else is there? That's kind of it for now. So Wailing Wraithfighter, I force him to discard a card from his hand. Berserker Warriors. Attack the Eyeful Vanguard. He uses an expendable pawn in order to prevent 2 of the damage assigned to Vanguard. And then I guess he's going to shield it. Yep, shields with a Calamity, so that's a funny meme. So Calamity says, Headquarters action, return each army unit with printer cost 2 or lower to its owner's hand. So that would have been really good for him if he'd ever been able to play it, as almost all of my units are 2 cost or lower. And funnily enough, in the Apoca errata, this card actually doesn't work with Basil anymore because now Basil's cleavers are affected by Calamity. So he'd be returning his Basil's cleavers back to his hand. So it's another case where buffing Basil actually, or trying to buff Basil actually makes him worse. But that happens sometimes. Admittedly, his Basil's cleavers aren't really doing anything at the moment, as they're both stranded on Taurus, which is not the right planet we need to be at. And remove it. His combat turn, attacks for 4 into the Zen. Moves into the Wailing Grave Fighter. I assume he's just trying to now kill the Wailing Grave Fighter rather than actually deal good damage. Attack for 2. Use another 1 shield. That was a Blood for a Blood God, which normally would have been very useful for him to kill some of my units here, but because I've played Empower, he's not going to be able to actually kill any of them. He's just going to lightly damage all of them. They would die at the end of the battle, but at the end of the battle it's a bit late, since he doesn't really want me to, deal all that damage. Well, you might be wondering, why didn't he play Blood for Blood God earlier before I played with Empower? And it's because I might have Nullify in my hand, in which case I would simply cancel his Blood for Blood God, which would be very bad for him. Charging Juggernaut attacks. Of course, I didn't have Nullify, but he didn't know. Then move redirects to Wailing Grave Fighter. And then I can either gift a V shove a Wailing Grave Fighter back into play, or I can just continue attacking normally. I think yes, I do gift a V-shot. It's not necessarily the best idea, but the more charging Juggernauts I can kill, the better, and the more economic damage I can do to him by just removing his units, or removing cards from his hand, the better. He will have to win at least 2 Ossus in order to actually win the game, so it's not particularly, the more damage I can do to him, the easier it will be to keep him from winning all the planets that he needs to win. Wailing Grave Fighter, discards another card. Vanguard, it's a good unit to get out of his hand. And finally I kill one of his charging Juggernauts, so that means he's running out of cards to actually deal damage. So now he decides not to attack the Zen, and he decides to attack the Wailing Grave Fighter. That way I have to move it to a different unit. Move it to Zen the Aonia. I can just take 3 damage on that, not a problem for me. Zen attacks for 3, maximum power. I can choose to retreat, but I'm not. He does decide to retreat. I win combat, I discard another card from his hand. It's another Calamity. It doesn't do anything here because he doesn't have enough resources. And what is going to happen here? The final battle is going to be at Taurus because I'm going to win at that planet. Charging Juggernauts are going to get to move to Taurus and deal damage to my units. Well, he's only got 1 of them left actually, so I decided to just shield it with the 4 towers. 4 towers isn't useful anymore. Yeah, Dark Allegiance gets an Advocator of Blood. The Advocator of Blood lets him remove 2 damage from units he controls and put them on the Advocator of Blood. So in this case, removes them from the Eiffel Vanguard to put them on there. So not a bad choice. What else is there? That was from his Dark Allegiance, so another good unit from that. But it's a bit late now. It's got 2 command icons on it, so it's struggling to help him actually win or have me win the command struggle in order for him to use Eiffel Vanguard. What else is there? Again, Dark Allegiance has skipped a deploy turn, but it's whatever. So I'm going to play. Yes, I'm going to play my funny card. So this is access to a black library. Let me pull it up here. No. So access to black library. Cost 1 and deploy actions. Search your deck for 2 cards of a different name. Reveal them, have your opponent choose 1, add it to your hand, and shuffle the remaining card. Have your opponent chooses 1, minus spelling mistake. Game ruined. Anyway, so we'd have to decide which of these cards in my entire deck I want. But we don't need to think about it too hard, because really, we just want to have Nullify so he can't play Warp Storm. So he's probably going to give us the other card in our deck, the other card we choose, because he wants to play Warp Storm. So therefore we can probably choose Empower or Gift of Isha. So I'd probably go with Gift of Isha myself, but Empower is also a fine choice. So let's see what I do here. Yeah, I think I do choose to. It doesn't say here because it's my opponent being offered. And he chooses to give me Nullify in the end. So that suggests to me he actually hasn't drawn his Warp Storm. He has drawn about half his deck, but I imagine he doesn't have 3 copies of Warp Storm, as it's a very difficult card to justify including 3 copies of. As even if he does play Warp Storm, he's going to damage himself so much that it's almost not worth it. Plays another Cult of Corn, so now he doesn't have enough resources for Warp Storm anyway. Now I just play out more units. He passes, so okay, it's the Cult of Corn is completely useless. I pass as well, since no reason to play more units when I can just save them for Gift of Isha and some funny Verdance Without End shenanigans. So Terrace, we're tied for command again, so he's still not going to get to use his Eiffel Vanguard. And then I have a whole bunch of cards and resources from my other command scribbles. And then we're just going to go through this a bit quickly. So I take an action, play Gift of Isha, and put a Wailing Wraith Fighter into play. Then he tries to take an action, and then he realizes he doesn't have enough money for his action. So I assume that was a Warp Storm or something. I'm not really sure. Reveal. Is that my command? Yeah, I don't remember what the command was. Reveal. And? Yeah. Oh well. We'll never know. But yeah, I assume it was a Warp Storm or some other free cost event. Oh no, actually it was he was trying to use Eiffel Vanguard there, but he didn't realize we'd only tied a command struggle rather than me winning it. So moving on. Pass, and he passes. And then we have he gets to attack for 4 into a Wailing Wraith Fighter, so I get to move the attack to a unit of my choice. So I'll just have one of my Biotan Guardians take the hit and die. Wailing Wraith Fighter attacks and forces him to discard a card from his hand. So even if he does win this battle, he's going to basically be out of cards and money. Very little he'll be able to do. Attacks bars with Cleavers. He has another Blood God, but again he can't play it because I have Nullify in my hand. And he even knows about this Nullify, so... attacks again. Damage gets moved into another worthless Biotan Guardians. 3. And kills Advocator of Blood. So now he's basically done for, he's completely out of shields. And there's not much he can do. He attacks then there, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just cleaning up his attacks. And he plays an Archon's Terror to act for a Wailing Wraith Fighter. And he had to wait until after my Wailing Wraith Fighter attacks, because otherwise I would have played Nullify on his Archon's Terror and it wouldn't have worked. So and he also needed to, he needed to wait until Zen was exhausted, is what I mean. And then we both pass, so he can keep fighting. He does choose to, just to try to give me value for my money, but he's got no cards, no resources, and just Dark Allegiance. Attacks Sun Prince, so I get to use that to have him exhaust one of his cards. And then I play Verdance Without End, so could discuss that. Lets me, after Harlequin unit enters play, I return it from my discard pile to my hand, and I'll just explore a different Harlequin. So why not? It's kind of funny. And moving on, just keeps cleaning up his units. Play Lost in the Webway just for fun of it, which lets me swap the location of 2 of my Harlequin units. And his wall is killed. So there we go. This is just the classic Basel moment. So as you can see, he did have cards which would have nuanced me with Calamity and Blood for Blood God and all that stuff. But because of Nullify, I was able to keep all of these in check. What else? What else is it? That's basically it. Yeah, it's just a classic Dark Allegiance Khorne deck. They don't really work, but they're kind of funny to have. And charging Juggernaut. I mean, it is all just a classic units, really. Yeah, not too much to say about this one, really. It's just a bit of a my wallet is better than his wallet, my units better than his units. He did have good units, like his Eiffel Vanguards and Charging Juggernauts, but he doesn't have any command units at all in this deck because it's his own expendable pawn and Kajavak. You can only have a single Kajavak and play it once, so he's really realistically only getting 5 good command cards in this game. Or just why Calamity's in the deck, but then if you actually have to have money in order to play Calamity, which is very difficult. Gut and Pillage, could have been great for him. That probably would have been Gut and Pillage into a Calamity, which would have given me all my cards back. So that would have been really strong for him, but yeah, it's just not good enough because of my Nullify. What else is there? That's kind of it, really. But these are just classic Zen, meanwhile. Just usual. Well, it's got a gift. It's got Wailing Wraith Fighter, which isn't, it's not a particularly good unit. There's way better units for Zen to have, like more spam. And actually, you should just not be playing elites whatsoever. But I like Wailing Wraith Fighter. I think it's a cool unit. Well, there we go. That'll be me, then. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.